Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. Welcome to my review for Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger episode 27. So this episode takes off from right where we left off last week, with Kaito looking for his mom, and he can't find her anywhere on Earth, and so they deduce that she probably ended up on one of the other worlds that they have, or that are accessible to them. And when Zox arrives, they realize, oh, we can travel to these worlds. So they think that she's escaped to one of these places, and they say, like, okay, these are the places we have available, which is effectively all the places that they've liberated so far from the Monsters of the Week and using those worlds. So they set off on an adventure to find Kaito's mom in one of these worlds, and the professor's curious as to how she even escaped, and Stacy's like, I don't know, lighting, aperture, shutter focus, zoom, and they leave Gown and Vroom behind. And Vroom's like, man, I really want to go. Why can't I go? And they're like, dude, you'd be way too curious. It would get way annoying and distracting. Which I thought was funny. Like, it was just a funny scene, and that's also very true. Like, Vroom totally would have gotten in the way. But basically, then we go on a tour of some of these worlds that we've visited. Not visited, but we've experienced via the monsters. And basically, all of the alternate worlds are just humans wearing different hats that represent those worlds, which I feel is very much a budget thing. Maybe it's what I should have expected. I'm a little bit disappointed. I feel like if this was a show with a bigger budget, we could have gotten like actual different creatures and stuff, which is what I was kind of hoping to see, but like right now it's just them wearing like mochi or mushroom heads, and they're going through all the worlds and they can't find anybody, and they just keep running into the same version of this one guy but in all the different worlds. And then, like, as they're traversing the worlds, they eventually run into Stacy in, like, Ice World, and it's revealed that the villains are also searching all the worlds for the mom, and that creates a problem because Kaito's like, I really want to find her, but at the same time, while she's out there and while we're looking for her, all these worlds are going to be suffering again, including our world, because the monsters are attacking. And Zox is like, whatever, let's find her. But Kaito comes up with a solution, and they don't technically reveal it to us until the end, but it's pretty obvious what happens, which is Majin takes the form of his mom. I can't remember, it seems like she was wearing the same clothes as when she escaped. Was she? I'm like, would she have known what she was wearing? Unless it was just my imagination, I just wasn't noticing. But regardless, maybe she wasn't wearing the same clothes. That's not important, though. But basically, Majin takes the form, and they make it seem like the mom was found in Mushroom World. And so Stacy allocates all of the resources of the villains to the Mushroom World. So, like, just Gown and Vroon are fighting the villains there, and just all the villains leave all the other worlds and stop attacking them. And they make it seem like the mom's on Mushroom World, and they get away with her. And then Stacy sends evil Zenkaio after him, and they land in Ice World again, and they fight Zenkaio or Zenkaijuo, and it's a pretty cool fight. Like, it's one of the things I always mention I like about Zenkaiger is they have really unique settings for all their mecha fights because of all the different worlds. And this was just very visually pleasing and really cool. Like, he fired like an avalanche at him. And Zenkaijuo actually did manage to defeat evil Zenkaio this week. It lost last week, but it wins this week. And then when they show back up, they reveal that, oh yeah, of course it was Majin, because she was being funny. Like, she had some funny stuff in this episode, both being like the mom and trying to pretend she was the mom, but also very obviously being Majin. And then, like, at the beginning of the episode, they're like, well, where should we go? And they're like, oh, let's use Majin's sixth sense and powers. And she's like, hooga, booga, 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 or whatever she said. And this is, like, the first time I think Zox and Flint and all of them are seeing it. And they're like, WTF, mate? And so it's really funny because then they cut to them being in the first world, and she's still on the ship doing that, which was funny. So she had some funny moments. But, again, very obvious what they did, but they reveal it at the end. And they more or less just reaffirm the status quo of, like, okay, yeah, we're going to keep protecting the world and doing stuff like always, but now we have the mom out there to look for, and like back to filler. So that was a little bit disappointing. I still thought this was a solid episode. Like, it was very entertaining seeing them go to the different worlds, kind of highlighting like, oh, this is the good we've done, and that's why we have to keep doing it, because we don't want other worlds to suffer, and we have to continue to liberate them. Again, there were some funny moments. I like that there was momentum in the plot. And I also really like that Stacy seems to, for now, have found a place in the villains. I was really worried after last week that it was going to be this episode and the next episode that he was just going to finally turn, because they've been moving so fast with that. But I like that for now, even though he's clearly conflicted, we have him as in an actual place in the villains, it feels like, and also feels like a threat, even if he's clearly conflicted. So I hope that continues for a little bit longer. So I'm happy with all that. Like, if I score the episode, I would give it a 3 out of 5. I found it to be solid and entertaining episode. Good fun story beats and some solid character beats. But I'm just a little bit disappointed at the resolution. I don't know if it would rush Stacy's redemption, which I don't want, but I was really happy last week with the fact that last week's episode rolled right into this one, and we didn't just stop, because that's mostly what Zenkaiger seems to do, is like we'll have one really plot-heavy episode, and then we'll go on for a little bit, and then have another one, and we don't seem to do a lot of multi-parter arcs. And so I was really pleasantly surprised when last week's sort of cliffhanger led right into this one, which was really fun and got good momentum. But then we ultimately, landed at a classic status quo reset, where we're basically like, hey, we're just going to do the same stuff, except now we have a secondary goal, so we can do the manga episode next week. And it's just a little bit disappointing, because I was hoping for a little bit of momentum. I mentioned last week how I was actually surprised that, the mom escaped, and that seemed rather fast for the usual pacing of these types of shows, but now I see that they're clearly going to keep dragging it out a little bit. Who knows, maybe it'll surprise me, but it kind of reminded me of Atmon, when they went to the digital world in there, because that show was very fillery, and all of a sudden they went to the digital world. I'm like, oh my god, things are getting good, they're going to the digital world, they're going to change things, and they were there for one episode, and they're like, back to filler, and I'm like, no! So, yeah, it was still enjoyable, but I was a little disappointed that we kind of stopped that momentum and are going back to the status quo. But again, they could surprise me, and it could crop up again within the next few episodes, we'll see. But this one was still enjoyable. But what did you guys think of this episode's multi-world tour through all the different dimensions? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.